everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Today I am here with a weekly wrap-up. I'm going to go over all the books that I read this last week. I have 8 books to go over, so let's quickly get started. Okay guys, so this last week went pretty good. I actually got back up to reading at least a book a day. So I have 8 books to talk about. We've got some ALCs, some ARCs mixed in here, and a couple other things that I'm excited to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first book that I read was an ALC, and this is Buried Dreams by Natasha Madison. You guys know I'm loving Natasha Madison. I love Shattered Dreams. I gave it like 6 stars. It was one of my top books from 2024. This is actually the 3rd book in that series. It's the Buried series. And this is a more emotional kind of small town romance series. The first book does set up this big accident that happens with this group of like 3 couples. And this is kind of the long lasting effects and repercussions of that accident. So the first book was based off of like, I won't go into all that. You guys already know. If you haven't seen it, it's one of my favorites. But this book is actually going to cover a different couple that was there that night. So in this one, this is like a really emotional kind of second chance romance, because this is between Brock and Everly, and they were actually like deeply in love. They were in a solid, beautiful relationship at the time of the accident. Again, the other 2 ended up being like, in the first book, I guess I am covering it. In the first book, the heroine's like boyfriend was driving and died, and then the hero from that book ended up being her best friend's boyfriend, and her best friend had died. So that one was a very angsty, like so much drama going on in that book. Hate to love, like anger banging. It was a lot. It was very angsty. So in this one, we're actually going to be going to Brock and Everly. And Brock and Everly were great. They were in a really good relationship. Their future was like planned out. They were planning to get married. They were deeply in love. But this accident really fucked up their lives. So they end up having a pretty bad breakup after this accident for reasons, which you will find out. And Everly basically picked up and left town, and now it's 9 years after the accident, I believe. And she, has to return home because her mom has a heart attack. Her mom runs this bakery. She's like an amazing, like single mother. And so she returns home to kind of help her mom out. And then, she has to help her mom out at the bakery, because her mom really can't go back to work, even though her mom is a pain in the ass and wants to return to work and is fighting it. She was a character. I loved it. But so she's back in town, and Brock is a single dad. And that was another thing that was really tough for them, because it isn't her baby, so he had kind of moved on, not fully moved on, but he had like hooked up with somebody, got them pregnant. So they had a kid together, and it just didn't work out. So he's a single dad to this adorable little girl. And so now they're kind of running into each other in town, and they're like basically enemies. Like, he blames her for leaving. She blames him for what happened in their breakup. But they keep kind of running into each other, and they end up kind of hooking up in an angry fashion. But they can't stop thinking about each other. Like, there's stuff going on with like her trying to do stuff at the bakery, which is like right by where he works as a mechanic. And so stuff ends up happening that keeps drawing them back together. I don't want to go too deep into it, because there's a suspense, kind of slight suspense, not full suspense element. There's the stuff that happens with the bakery, that she needs help with the town and all this kind of stuff. She gets kind of comes back home and realizes maybe this is where she needs to be. And she really like falls for his daughter, even though it was hard for her to see him like have a daughter that wasn't hers. She really falls for this little girl. She's very sweet. So they end up kind of coming together and having to like work through their previous drama, and talk about what happened. So what I loved about this, and I think she does this really well, is she has flashbacks mixed throughout the book, but they're not too many, and they're really pivotal to like telling the story and seeing what happened in the past and how they used to be and all that kind of stuff. So like Second Chance is really iffy for me. I'm very picky about it, like I always say. So I really enjoyed this one. I think the Second Chance was handled really, really well. I really loved the audiobook. I loved that there was like a side romance going on with her mom and like the doctor, because they were actually like fell in love when they were younger, but things didn't happen. And so it's just very, very cute. So I really loved this. This was narrated by Gregory Salinas and Savannah Peachwood, two of my faves. I think it was dual narration. So I really love the audiobook. It's fantastic. I listened to the audiobook of the second one too, and that was really good. So I loved it. I ended up giving this one 5 stars and 3 chilies. And I would definitely recommend the series if you don't mind some emotional, angsty stuff. Okay, so the next one that I read was The Stud by Xavier Neal. And this is the 3rd book in the Delvegan Dragons. They reached out to request me to read this arc. I haven't read any of the books in this series, so I wasn't really used to her style with this one. I read Xavier Neal before, and it felt very different. I read like some of her suspense books, like romantic suspense, and so I don't know if it was just with this book, but it felt like very different than her usual style. This is a hockey series, and in this it's an enemies to lovers, even though like I really hate how everything's marketed as enemies to lovers. Honestly, like this chick hates the guy, but he's smitten with her and wants to be with her. So this is between Tanner and Arden, and Tanner is like the star. He's the stud. He's the star hockey player. She actually runs kind of like the media PR stuff for the hockey team. And so they want to do a kind of like docu-series on him because he draws the most fans. He most of the merchandise is like all his stuff. So he is definitely like the draw for people. And he's kind of like the playboy, kind of considered a player or whatever, which he really he's done that before, but he's not completely like that. This guy, ever since he met Arden, he's been into her. He's like smitten. He wants her. It's his whole goal is to get this girl and win her over. The problem is that she has this like really annoying, self-centered twin sister that he accidentally hooked up with while he was drunk, thinking it was her. So she knows he hooked up with her twin, and so she just like hates him. She's pretty hateful in the beginning, which I'm like, I don't understand why you hate this guy so much, like to hate him. He's like this cinnamon roll golden retriever sweet guy. Like, there's no reason for you to hate him. But now she has to follow him around and film him and do this docuseries with him. So now they're kind of like forced together, and he's really pursuing her hard. So they have great banter, and she starts to really realize there's so much more to him, and they kind of fall for each other. They have to have a secret relationship because she's not allowed to date anybody on the team. So there's that. So what I'll say about this is I had a hard time getting into it. There was so much hockey lingo, like a lot of hockey lingo. There's a whole glossary like thing at the beginning of all the terms, but it was so much of their dialogue was it that like I didn't even know what they were talking about, and I was kind of checked out with their like banter on it. But I did appreciate that there was a lot of hockey, because a lot of times with these hockey romances, it's barely in it. So, but and it took me a while to warm up to the heroine, because I loved the hero. The hero basically saved this book. He is so amazing. She's kind of cold and standoffish and kind of a bitch. And even though her twin sister is kind of a monster, it's just the way she talks about her, the way she just came off kind of bitchy to me. So it took me a while to warm up to her, but I eventually did. And then, I did kind of like their romance. Now, the thing that I struggled with was a lot of the writing in this. And usually I'm not picky about writing. Like, I don't nitpick about that at all. But the way that the author was explaining what they were wearing within like the action and like how it ran together. It did not, the sentence structure didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to even add these, the way they explained what they were wearing. I'm going to give you examples because it was driving me nuts. Like, I highlighted 3 different lines that were like this on one page. And I was just like, I almost DNF'd it because I was like, I don't know if I can continue because that's taking me out of the story. And I don't remember Xavier and Neal ever doing that before. So I don't know if it was just maybe I never noticed, but I noticed this time. So let me pull up those quotes real quick. Okay, I'm going to be looking at my computer real quick to look at these, but these are just some examples. She crosses one dark tan mini skirt covered leg over the other, accompanied by an open palm flying across her black, half-shirt-clad chest. I don't get it. How her white, long-sleeve, shirt-covered top half is uncontrollably shaking. So this is where it's, like, driving me nuts. Like, you don't need to describe what they're wearing in the action and be, like, that overly descriptive. Like, we don't care. Like, I don't need to know that. And it doesn't make sense at all. So then there's this one. It says, Arden pulls her light gray workout pants covered legs into her seat and rests her arms on top of them. So those are just some examples that really kind of bugged me. So with that and how long it took me to get through this and warm up to the heroine, I ended up settling on a 3.5 stars. Honestly, the hero saved this for me and made it the 3.5 stars. So I felt really bad since the author asked me to, you know, review this and read the arc. But I have to be honest about what I felt. And the writing was just a little weird to me. So anyways, I gave it 3.5 stars and 2.5 chilies. Okay, so then I listened to an ALC, and this was Love You Always by Stacy Travis. This is the 5th and final book in the Buttercup Hill series, which I've been really loving because if you know me, here it is. I love my wine. I love my wine. And I love going to do wine tastings and all that stuff. So this is all set at like a vineyard that has like a nice resort, like, you know, it's a beautiful location with restaurants and all this stuff. So I just love the setting of this. And this is about Archer's romance. So Archer is, I think, the oldest brother. He is running the vineyard and in control of all of that. And there's been a lot of stuff revealed, like his father has dementia but he kind of fucked up. I think he had like set up a fire and did stuff bad money-wise, where it's put a lot of pressure on Archer to like get everything under control and fix all his dad's mistakes. And he didn't really want to do this with his life. He kind of went, I think he wanted to do something else. I remember him going to Hollywood for some reason, but then he came back and did this. So this wasn't his dream to be doing this, and it's a lot of pressure. And then we have Ella, and she is actually a famous like rom-com big celebrity star, and she is getting married, and so she's actually at Buttercup Hills to do like kind of like a tour of the vineyard and the whole location for the wedding. The thing is, she's marrying for like a marriage of convenience sake, because she is marrying a like celebrity. I think he was a country singer. And they just kind of have this arranged marriage that they're planning because it's going to help their image. And she mostly wants to get married so that she can start a family. She wants to adopt, and it would be better to adopt if she, you know, was with somebody and married and all that kind of stuff. So she's there touring it, and like he kind of gets forced to tour, give her a tour and show her around. He's the grump, she's the sunshine. And, you know, he's kind of irritated because he had met her and kind of like felt like she snubbed him way back when he was in Hollywood. There's a story behind that, but they immediately hit it off, and, you know, sparks are flying between them, but she's getting married. So obviously there's no cheating in this. Things are going to kind of fall apart with that, you know, fiance, and she's going to be drawn to him. So I really liked this. It's cute. These are really easy, fast reads. I do think this was very insta-love, but I think that's kind of a lot of what this series is. So I didn't mind it at all, but I enjoyed it. It was good. I listened to this audiobook, and it was narrated by Elise Samuels and Ava Erickson. And I ended up giving this one 4 stars and 2.5 chilies. Okay, on to an exciting one. This ended up being such a great one. This one has not released yet. I think it's coming out the 18th or the 20th. I can't completely remember. I'm thinking it's the 18th, if I'm correct. So it should be coming out this week. And this is Hidden Roots by Clio Evans. And this is the 3rd and final book in the Citrus Cove series. And this is my favorite one. It was so good. I do think you need to read this series in order because there's a lot of suspense elements that carry through, especially the first 2 books are very like connected with like the suspense element and like what's going on. So you could kind of go into this one not reading the other ones, but I mean, it's a good series, so I think you should definitely give it a shot, just trying the whole series. But this one is between Hunter and Emma, and we've kind of seen their relationship unfold in the other 2 books because they really like can't stand each other. They're always like enemies. It's very enemies to lovers here, hate to love kind of situation. They always bicker and can't stand being around each other. Now Emma is like the best friend of like his brother's, you know, soon to be wife type of thing. Or I think they're married. I can't remember. But her best friend is like the heroine from the first book. And Emma kind of picked up and moved to this small town to be with her friend. And she's really an amazing heroine. She's so feisty. She has like a black belt. She's, you know, very strong, opinionated. And I just love her. So I was intrigued on what their romance was going to be, or like why do they hate each other so much? And so we get to see why when we start this book, because it opens up where she's coming into town. I think she like ran out of gas and she was like on the side of the road. It's dark and he pulls over. He's kind of muddy. You know, he actually runs a vineyard too for their family. And so he pulls up and he's going to help her. And she literally has a tase gun, you know, and she has it out because she got paranoid because there was like a serial killer in the first couple books. Like that's part of the plot. And she accidentally hits it and tases him. And so like that's how they first meet. And so he like, honestly, like this is my favorite type of enemies to lovers because he's pretending to hate her. He has been smitten with her since the moment he met her. But he can't really go there, and he has like issues where he thinks he's not good enough and like that it couldn't ever happen between them. And she kind of just, he was really mean to her, so she was mean back, and so they like hated each other. But really, this man is smitten. This man has been pining after her for like the last 3-4 years and kind of stopping her from being able to date certain people. So he feels really guilty about that too. So like there's a lot of like animosity going on, but he wants her. He definitely wants her. So I just love that. And what ends up happening, we get into like a fake dating situation, but it's actually going to be a fake fiance situation. Because Emma has history like that she's been hiding from everybody, even like her best friend and everybody who's like a found family for her. She comes from a very rich family, but it's like a very like kind of sick like thing where like her father kind of cut her off and doesn't want anything to do with her. You know, her sister died in an accident that they blamed her for. Her father like remarried. The stepmother doesn't really care about her and all this kind of stuff. But she's also hiding the fact that she was previously married. She was kind of forced into this marriage because they wanted her to fit this role. She was supposed to be the heir to their empire. And so she married this guy that was like emotionally abusive and just not a good situation. So she ended up leaving him. Well, one day when like her and, sorry, I just forgot his name, Hunter, are working together because they have to work. Their friends are trying to make them work together to get along on like this fair thing that's happening. And so they're together at the house and her ex-husband shows up. And so she pretends like, because he's asking her back to be with him, tells her her father died, but also tells her he wants her back and all this stuff. So he's up to some shady shit. He like worked for her father and stuff. And so she doesn't trust him and doesn't want anything to do with him. So she pretends like Hunter is her boyfriend. And then Hunter steps it up and says, no, like this is my fiance. Like we're getting married. And so now her ex is not leaving town till like they figure shit out. And so she has to keep this fake fiance thing going. And then of course it's spread across their family that they're lying to their family. And you know, it's a small town and all of that kind of stuff. So now they're like forced into these kind of situations where they're fake dating, fake getting engaged type of thing. And they have to acknowledge, like they finally acknowledge their attraction. And one night they get kind of tipsy and decide like we should go there with each other. And there's so many spicy scenes. This is the spiciest book in the series. I'm telling you people, when I list off the kinky stuff in this book, it delivers. And it delivers it in a really good way because it's not like instant where they're hooking up. There's a slow build to it. And then as they're getting together sexually, she's like realizing her feelings. And then, you know, obviously he's already had deep feelings for her for years. So it is so hot. I loved the like experimentation. They're very open to experiment and try new things, and they're very open about their fantasies together. So I really loved this. So this is my favorite book in the series, if you can't tell. Like I loved their dynamic. I love the pining hero. I loved like the way they come together and like when he confesses everything to her, how that plays out. Like it's just really good. There is a suspense element because there's also kind of like a stalker situation going on, plus her ex, and we don't know who's stalking and what's going on. And so there's that element going on too. So these are all going to have that romantic suspense element in this series. But I just want to let you know some of the kinks in this because it's got a list. It's like a whole list. Okay, so we have sex toys, voyeurism, exhibitionism. We got anal, breeding. They do like the breeding kink, not like they want to actually get pregnant. They just like talking dirty and like, you know, want to come inside and all that like breeding kink talk. Rimming, role play, shibari, and then the best, and this is one of the most amazing scenes, and I need to read more of this in books, was a pegging scene. So that was one of Emma's fantasies, and she'd never done it before. And so I love the amount of trust and love that went into that scene because by that point, they're in love. And like he fully trusts her and is able to be vulnerable and do that with her. And it was just it was amazing. Like I loved it. I do want to mention trigger warnings, obviously death of a parent, the stalking. And then I want to bring it up, is an animal injury, not by these characters, but by the side character stalking people. There is like animal cruelty because they forcibly hit a dog. So I just want to warn you that that's in this and it's kind of emotional. But the dog's going to be okay. I just want to let you know, okay? But it is in there because I know for me, animal stuff is like my trigger. So I just want to bring that up so you're aware. But I guess it's not that hard to see that I gave this one 5 stars. I freaking loved it. I gave it 5 chilies, people. It's freaking spicy. And I loved it. So I highly recommend this one. This was my favorite one. It was fantastic. Okay, so then I listened to another ALC, and that was My Silver Lining by Laura Pavlov. This is the second book in the Rosewood River series. And in this one, we have Rafe and Lulu, and this is kind of like another enemies to lovers situation. I don't really call it enemies to lovers. It's like dislike to love. I mean, so much stuff is marketed as like they're enemies. Really, they have a rough start and a really crazy meet cute that's like not so cute and crazy that leads to dislike, and then eventually they get there. And this is also another fake dating. So in this we have Lulu, and she is actually best friends with Henley, which was the heroine from the first book. And she is actually going to be staying in Henley's boyfriend's house. Like they're not staying there for a couple months. She's got like a really public family with like a lot of like politicians and stuff. And she's had a lot of drama go on. She, I think, designs jewelry, if I'm remembering correctly. So she's got a famous brand. And she had this really shitty, drama-filled rock star boyfriend that she had a horrible relationship with, and she tried to end things with him multiple times. They always bring drama back to her life, and so she's trying to like just take a break for a couple months, and she's going to be moving to Paris for like her jewelry line or whatever. And so she's staying there for a couple months to kind of decompress, get away from everything. And then we have Rafe, and he is actually her best friend's boyfriend's brother. Anyways, and he's staying in the guest house. And so he doesn't expect her to be in the house yet, and he goes in there to like get something. He actually has Cutler with him, which is Beefcake. If you read Magnolia Falls, Beefcake is in this book, and he was the highlight of the book for me. Beefcake is like my favorite Lord Pavlov character. Like this kid, he needs to have a romance when he grows up. A book needs to be done on Beefcake because this kid is so precious. It's one of the best written kids I've ever read. I freaking love Beefcake. So he's actually with him, and they go in to get something out of the kitchen or whatever, and he sees her, and like they kind of run into each other, and she literally like throat punches him, not knowing who he is. So that's kind of how they meet, with like a throat punch. So not a great start. So he ends up kind of being like, they just dislike each other. They have great banter, but what ends up happening is they both realize they could help each other because they need a fake dating situation, because her grandfather's 80th birthday is happening and her family thinks she has a boyfriend. And they expect this boyfriend to be there, and because she always has to hear about her ex and all the drama brought to their family every time they have a get together. And so she doesn't want to deal with that. And so she is going to have Rafe be her boyfriend and come to these events with her. Now, Rafe also needs a fake dating situation because his boss's daughter is like really aggressively pursuing him, and the boss isn't really doing anything about it. And he just has to go to these kind of events and stuff, and like I think a wedding. And he doesn't want this daughter to like be kind of all over him. So they agree to help each other and fake date. And then of course, as they start to hang out and be around each other a lot more and in these forced proximity situations, they realize, you know, there's an attraction there, and they start to really like each other. The problem is that she's leaving in 2 months to move to Paris. So like they decide to kind of pursue something sexually, but really it's a for now thing. She's leaving. So I liked this one. I didn't like it as much as the first one. The first one I really loved. It was kind of more emotional and had more, I don't know, depth to it. This one, I didn't fully relate to the heroine. Like, she was so blasé and nonchalant every time they would talk about how she's leaving and like, whatever, this is just for now. And so I felt like the hero was more invested than she was. And so I just didn't fully love that. I still think it was really good. I know a lot of people are giving this 5 stars, so I'm sure you'll love it too. I just didn't think it was as good as the first one. So it kind of went down a little bit for me, and I didn't really love the heroine kind of doing that and acting so blasé about it all. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars and 2.5 chilies. And then this is narrated in duet narration, which is fantastic. I think Laura Pavlov has some of the best audiobooks. I've loved every single audiobook of hers that I've listened to. And it's duet narrated by Sean Masters and Vanessa Edwin. I know Sean Masters, but I don't think I've listened to Vanessa Edwin. I might have, but it was very well done. And they did a great job with the banter and the spice and everything like that. So okay, so then I continued on with the Love Triangle trilogy of Pam Godwin's. So I read Two is a Lie. I am doing a vlog for this. And I'm reading the current one right now. I'm like at 80%. So, I mean the third one, not the current one, but I'm reading the third and final one. So I'm almost done with it. So hopefully I'll get that vlog up to you quickly, but I am behind on posting my vlogs, so I need to get quite a few up this week. But anyways, this is the second book, and this is between Trace, Cole, and Danny. I'm not going to go too deep into it because this is a trilogy. It is the second book, but basically Danny's fiance, Cole, had went away for a job, type of overseas thing, very secretive, ended up never coming back, and, you know, she was told he died, and it had been like 4 years, and so it took her a really long time. She was devastated, really broken, and then she ends up falling for a man named Trace. He's a casino owner. He's very methodical, cold, you know, sexy, amazing man. And she falls for him. And I'm really summing this up. And then Cole returns. So that's like what happens like Cole shows up at the very end of the first book, which we kind of knew that was going to happen the whole time. So you're kind of waiting for that hammer to drop like the whole book. So this book obviously was all focused around the love triangle. It was, and you know, I don't love triangles, but I'm reading this because I want to read Pam Godwin's backlist, and I trust Pam Godwin. So this one is very heavily on the love triangle thing. So I didn't love this one as much as the first one. I did feel like this was a filler book. It felt like we were kind of just drawing that out and making it go on and adding some spicy scenes and angst and like drama. And then we end on another cliffhanger, and then it's going to be the third one. So honestly, my only thing is I think this could have been a duet, and it would have been better instead of drawing this out into like 3 books. But I still enjoyed it. Pam Godwin's writing is still fantastic. She still hooks me. She makes it so I still have empathy for the heroine, even though she's like, you know, can't fucking make a choice between these 2 men. And it's just a really complicated situation. How are we going to get how is she going to choose between like her first love and a man that like swept her off her feet and she fell in love with him, and he kind of like saved her from like being how lost she was. So like, who do you choose? So I have my favorite, but I'm not going to say. You'll see in my vlog who my favorite is. So I hope she better pick him. She better pick him. So anyways, this one I gave 4 stars and then 3.5 chilies. Okay, so then another one I don't want to go too deep into because this is the Immortals After Dark read along I'm doing. I read Dark Meads on Night's Edge, and this is the 4th book, Immortals After Dark, not counting like the prequel basically. But this is between Conrad and Noemi, and this one I was so excited for because I'm kind of tired of the Valkyries. I don't really connect to them as much. And this one is actually, Conrad is one of the Roth brothers, so he is a vampire, but he's kind of one that we didn't know where he was at. And he's kind of like a little bit in madness. He's got bloodlust. He's been feeding off of people. So like the vampires that feed off people, they have like red eyes. They get all the memories and kind of powers if you get supernatural beings in their head, and so you can kind of go crazy after so long of doing that. So and then we have Noemi, and she is actually a ghost. So a vampire and a ghost romance, how is that going to work? So when I saw that, I was like, I'm so excited for this. I want to see how Kresley Cole makes this work, and she does. Like, this was so amazing. I'm just gonna give you, I'm not gonna go into it, but it's my favorite of the series so far. I loved it. It was like more gothic feeling. They're like stuck in this mansion that was like her old home in New Orleans. She was murdered by her ex-fiance, and she has basically been a ghost haunting that mansion, stuck there for 80 years. And now they're taking Conrad's brothers have captured him, and they're kind of like binding him with like a spell and like these kind of things so that he's stuck in that house, so that they can kind of detox him and try and cure him from his bloodlust. And like they're trying to save him because, you know, he's gone. He's also been like an assassin, like, so he's got a really interesting backstory. And so now he's there, and he actually can see her, and nobody's been able to see her. So she's like really, excited and intrigued by him. And so they're kind of stuck in this mansion together, and it leads to them really connecting. They can't touch. So that was another aspect that I really loved, is like, if you can't touch somebody or be physical with them, you're going to connect with them on a deeper level. So there was just so much going on with this. And obviously, I don't want to tell you everything because I want you to watch our live show, which I don't know when that's going to be. I got to figure out the best time to do the live show. I'm probably going to do it on Saturday again, but I'm not sure if it's going to be like the last weekend of March, probably, maybe, or the first weekend. I don't know. I'll let you know. Let me know what time when you want to see it, if like a best time for you is. I don't know. I'm all over the place right now. But anyways, this was a favorite for me. I guess I'll give you my rating, but it was a 5-star for me. So definitely recommend 2.5 chilies. This is my favorite, and I can't wait to get to the next one. Okay, so the last book that I read was A Substitute Wife for a Prizefighter. This is another vlog that I'm just finished up by reading this because I wanted to read Alice Coldbreath. I read the first book and it didn't blow me away. It was 3.5 star, but I heard the second book was like the really good one. And that's this one. And it definitely is so much better. I loved this book. I loved it. I loved the romance. I loved everything about it. The writing was amazing. I think it's much better than the first book because we actually get the hero's POV in this. I thought it was just very romantic, down to earth, very relatable, realistic. I loved it. So in this one, we have Benedict and Lizzie. And Benedict is a ex-prize fighter. He was in jail for a couple years. And he is set to marry Lizzie's cousin. Lizzie is a orphan. She's basically been taken in by her aunt and uncle. And she's kind of like a spinster. She does charitable works, things like that. And so he is kind of like not really liked her because he thinks that she looks down on him and doesn't think he's good enough, and she's kind of snooty. But something happens. They are at a dinner, and she witnesses this reverend, I think it was reverend, I can't remember. He stole something, and then it was going to get blamed on like the housekeeper. And so she basically kind of told the truth and told them he has it in his pocket. And then even as they pull it out, they like still don't go with what she says and are just saying, like, totally ignoring her, to the point where she won't back down on it and is trying to do the right thing. And they basically kick her out of the house. And so he sees this and he's disgusted with this family, with how his, fiance is acting. So he basically ends the engagement. And he's actually already have like everything ready with like the marriage license and everything, because Lizzie and her cousin have like both, it's like Elizabeth, but they both go by off different, things. So her name's also Elizabeth, so she could also just take the place of her cousin and get married. And he decides to do this kind of marriage of convenience with her because he sees that she gets kicked out of the house. She's really in a like tough situation. She's working hard, like really hard job. That's like, she's really struggling. And so he's like, why don't we get married? And, my family's expecting me to bring a wife home and all of that. The thing is his family is actually like this traveling fair circus type of thing. And they do like a fighting booth type. He fights for that. He actually used to be a prize fighter. So like he actually was a full, like real boxer, but his family did this growing up. So he buys like this, like, cart, like wagon thing that has a bed in it, and it's like what they're going to be living out of. So this woman gets married and gets thrown into this life she wasn't expecting, but I just love it because Lizzie steps up and she really tries to find her place, even with his crazy family. She really tries to find her place, and he sees her doing that and realizes there's so much more to her. He really got fascinated by her when she stood up and did the right thing and was a good, what she did at that dinner. So he really like is starting to get attracted to her, can't stop thinking about her. And then she feels like she's just plain and he doesn't even want sex with her. And that quickly he tells her, no, we're going to have sex. And I just loved it. Like, their first time having sex was just funny and like very realistic. But I go more into it in my vlog, but basically I really loved this. And what I loved about this so much was the hero was like this gruff, you know, badass fighter, kind of grumpy at times, but he was soft for Lizzie and he really falls for her. He's so protective of her and he doesn't want to hear anybody's bullshit when they try to like start drama between them. He's like, I trust my wife more than I trust you. And they had such great communication. They worked things out in here. Like, it was just very beautiful. They had so many swoon-worthy moments, like very open. Like, I just love it. I love it when there's no third act breakup and they communicate. They don't let stupid shit get in the way of their relationship. So I highly recommend this one. Honestly, I would skip the first one. It's a series, but they're not connected in any way. They briefly mention the couple from the first book, and that's it. They're not connected at all. So I would definitely just start with this one because I gave this one 5 stars, and it was amazing. And 2.5 chilies. So highly recommend. I will be, hopefully, I want to really try and get that vlog up this week because I started it like last month because I read the first book last month. Anyways, I loved it. That book also, I listened to an audiobook in one day. It was great. And it is on Audible Plus and also on AnyPlay. I ended up getting it on Audible Plus because it's currently available on there right now if you are interested. Anyways, those are the books that I read this week. Thank you so much for watching this. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave me a like, and comment down below. And I hope you will be joining us with this Immortals After Dark read-along. This one was a good one, so I can't wait to discuss it. All right, I will see you guys on the next one.